Hi, this is Robert Thibodeau of the Mayflower Bookshop. Mayflowerbookshop.com is where you can find me on the web. And there's also a YouTube channel, Mayflower Bookshop, Robert Thibodeau. Today I'd like to talk about the Jupiter conjunct Saturn that's happening on December 21st, 2020, and what that might indicate specifically for the coming year. Many old astrologers that I studied with thought that you could predict the whole year from the winter solstice. And that's when Jupiter conjuncts Saturn. So when I erect a chart for Washington, D.C., of what's going to happen in the United States, and I put Jupiter Saturn on the ascending sign, at 0 Aquarius, and then we can look at all the planets compared. All the planets are like in these houses, and we can look at your sun sign, like whether you have a moon sign or ascending sign. You should get your chart erected so you know what your moon and your sun, and you probably know your sun, but your moon and your ascending sign, and you can tell all of them. And you have Venus and you have Jupiter, and they're all in signs. So here's the thing I want to share with you today about the Jupiter Saturn and what it means to your prosperity, luck, and money and love this coming year. So obviously, Jupiter and Saturn, what is that? Jupiter is Zeus and Saturn is Kronos. Jupiter is social life and Jupiter is expansion and the Santa Claus of the Zodiac. Jupiter's like very benevolent, and generous. Wherever Jupiter goes, good things happen. You expand. Now, the danger of Jupiter is sometimes too much of a good thing can spoil you. And maybe it's not so good. If you drank too much water, it wouldn't be good. Saturn's the opposite of Jupiter. Jupiter's expansion and fun and social and family and growth and more money or whatever you think you need to be happy. Saturn is the work and discipline to get happy. Saturn is the labor pain of contractions, trying to give birth to something new. Jupiter's ruled by expansiveness and exuberance and like celebration, and sometimes gets carried away and exaggerates, makes things bigger than they really are. That's ruled by Sagittarius. Jupiter is the ruler of Sagittarius. Capricorn, Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn, and that's longevity and law and bones and structure and rules. It's not just playing and jovial, Jupiter. Saturn is the Sat, the eternal being of the earn. You have to earn your own way, the Saturn. You have to have a deep being that can earn your own way and burn and learn, even when it comes with Mars, or other planets in fire signs. So we have Jupiter and Saturn, spiritual and material, expansive and contractive, social and very intellectual, coming together in Aquarius, which is for humanitarian ideals. Aquarius is like brotherhood and sisterhood and friends, and you can think of Aquarius trining in good aspect to Libra, fairness and justice and fellowship and partnership, and it trines Gemini for communications and clarity and honesty and good news. So if you're in Aquarius or Libra or Gemini, this is pretty good aspect time for you this year. A lot of growth. I mean, Saturn is going through Aquarius, and so you'd think that when you think of the squares in opposition, so Aquarius, Leo, Scorpio, and Taurus, they're going to experience this Jupiter Saturn. So that's like, it's hard work, but it's very enjoyable and rewarding. So the problem with Jupiter Saturn is one part of us wants to party or socialize and be expansive, and the other part wants to contract. Now it's very interesting, or work hard and root down deeper, and it's this security versus freedom and joy. It's home versus work, or is it homework? And Pallas Athena, the asteroid that has to do with the young warrior goddess, is very close to that Jupiter Saturn. So you'd think that we're entering the Aquarian age. These are the early impulses of awakening the Aquarian age of peace to the world and working together in harmony. And when we look at the second house, it's Pisces. And Neptune and the moon are in Pisces in the second house of this Washington, D.C. chart for the Jupiter Saturn conjunct at 0 degrees Aquarius. 0 degrees signifying emptiness practice would benefit you. Calm, abiding space, equanimity, selflessness in learning about what real friendship is, and hopes and dreams being reborn. And having an eternal youthful goddess warrioress, Athena, who helped Odysseus, can be accessed to help us. And we go to second house of money, honey, and hugs, and groundedness. We have Pisces with Neptune moon. So that could be tough on money. Either there's the magic of money, and one introduces themselves to high spiritual ideals and ideas that make one feel rich, or one feels like they don't understand where the money comes from and where it goes, and am I being abandoned? And a lot of people feel that way, that they don't know what's going to happen next. They've been abandoned with Neptune, or they're drowning in debt, or they're drowning in emotions. And other people are feeling spiritually inspired, and they're trying to find a way of happiness in earning money, that we have some kind of honest work and joyful companionship at work, and that we can be honoring nature. So either we're destroying nature with the way we make money, or we're creating gardens of friends and healthy environment. A lot of people are becoming psychic, and they're starting to see through the appearance to a deeper truth that permeates all life. A lot of people are becoming psychic and kind of knowing whether something's healthy or ill. When we go to the third house, it's in Aries. The third house is brothers and sisters and lower education. And Mars is there in Aries. So you could say that since Chiron is also in that house in Aries, we could say that people are kind of superficially aggressive, or they're superficially aggressive in their speech or their learning. And other people are really assertive about learning in new ways and starting bottom up, Zen mind, beginner's mind. And that speech and actions can be healing or harmful to our bodies and our souls and our minds. A lot of people do things that harm their soul, even though outwardly it looks like it's successful. And these are things to ponder at this time that Jupiter conjunct Saturn, where one is really making plans for the next 12 years with Jupiter cycle and the next 30 years with Saturn cycle. We could also say that Jupiter moves to its opposition in 6 years. So we're talking about also Saturn taking 30 years roughly to go around. So we're talking about 14, 15, 16 years ahead, or 8. You can divide it by 4 or 2. So let's go back to the houses. Aquarius is in the first house for this sense of security and freedom and brotherliness. And Neptune's a lot of confusion about money and wishing somebody else was paying the bill, or trying to find divine inspiration for job and work and money. And the third house is should be an aggressiveness to learn simple things about life: how to cook, how to clean your house, how to have sacred altar in your house for objects that remind you of your higher self and your spiritual pursuit, things that you're working on to repress and things you're working on to express. In the fourth house, we have Taurus. This is a year where everyone wants security in the home, or they want to home into what is security. This has to do with having a sacred bed to sleep in every night, and having sacred sleep and restful sleep and feeling grounded. But Uranus is in there too. See, Taurus in the fourth house wants this security of food, home, family. But Uranus is in the fourth house. So it has a double message here. It's also with dark moon Lilith. So you could say that some people are fiercely, almost wild and crazy about getting freedom from their resources, freedom from the home, freedom from feeling locked down. Uranus in the fourth house is freedom from the home, or freedom to express yourself in the home. And having Uranus with a wild woman Lilith in the fourth house is an impulse way in our gut to be free about our passions, to be able to act out of freedom for something that we're passionate about. And it's a lot of people are throwing away their need for security, while other people are panicked and freaked out and alarmed that they're losing their security. And so, how can you have a sane mind? Well, I think I'm always telling people, Tibetan Buddhism, like Gaelic Rinpoche, Gyatso, Chogyam Trungpa, then reading Rudolf Steiner and studying Rudolf Steiner, who came out of Theosophy and Goethe, among other things, and reading Blavatsky's Key to Theosophy and Voice of the Silence, and reading Osho, The Book of Secrets, Priests and Politicians, The Mafia of the Soul is a nice book by him. All these are at Mayflower Bookshop. And reading Neoplatonism or Hermetics or Manly Hawes, Secret Teachings of All Ages, a magical occult book on every metaphysical subject, including ancient Egypt and the Norse and the American Indians and ciphers and masonry and magic and stones and astrology and tarot. Everything is in that book, Secret Teachings of All Ages. It used to be hundreds of dollars, and now you can get it for like $22, $23. So the fourth house with Uranus is quite a disruption in the way that we invest ourselves in home and stocks. And how do we invest ourselves? What will make us feel secure? In some ways, there's only psychological security. Is that it? Or is there a spiritual security that goes much deeper in one's heart and soul? Taurus is the throat. We need to wear scarves in the winter and protect our throat and tell truth. That Uranus is telling truth and trying to reach to a higher octave of what does it mean to home in. The word home has the word om in it. And that is a big thing. It has the word ho, me. Hi ho, hi ho. We're back to Santa Claus. I don't know how that works, but hi ho. But ho, me. The wholeness of the me is the home. That's what I think. And the freedom. So that's the fourth house, is a new sense of security out of freedom. That's deep. A lot of things I'm saying you could think about for a little bit. Meditate, contemplate, ponder. The fifth house of children, sex, creative play, sex is creative play, or love is creative play. The North Node is in Gemini there. This is a need for mental intercourse as well as perhaps sexual intercourse. And it's a need for touch. And so the North Node in Gemini is, you think it's the return at some point, at least by springtime and summer, to the return of hugs and touching. And this need for intellectual or mental sharing the minds, not just the bodies, sharing the hands and heart. In the sixth house of work is Cancer. Cancer is the home, working from the home. This is a year where working for the home is becoming really big, isn't it? So that's interesting that Cancer's on the, which represents the home, is in the sixth house, which represents work. It also represents health, the sixth house. So the way to health is through breathing, the chest and lungs, and the stomach. The seventh house is Leo in this Jupiter Saturn chart that pinpoints and orchestrates an expression of the year. So the seventh house being Leo, it's kind of like the key to relationship is having, and what redeems us from the animal kingdom is the self meeting the self, the ego meeting the ego. So the Leo in the seventh house is relationships that are based on a deeper sense of self meeting the other self. Or the negative side is feeling always that others are ruling you, that somehow the other one has a benefit over you. I think the secret here is that you want to be with people who shine and help your sunlight. Leo is the sun, ruled by the sun, helping your sunlight to come out, helping you to shine with the heart. The sun is the heart. The eighth house of death is Virgo, death and rebirth and sex. And, it's the weird porn stuff too, and all kinds of weird stuff, That's that eighth house rules Scorpio, right? Or Scorpio rules it normally. But here Virgo's there. So the Virgo, it's kind of like the virgin whore thing, where everybody's trying to get in touch with their most virgin inner space, pure ideal, pure self. And how do we passionately share that with others? Or how can we not be overcritical of everyone? And how can we not scapegoat other people? How can we bring about the primary change by changing ourselves? So some people are very austere and incredibly disciplined to make death and rebirth, some kind of rebirth or renewal take place by austerities in yoga and meditation and no sex, versus this kind of virgin whore, sacred prostitute thing. A lot of people feel like they're prostituting to get something, They're overspending themselves to get something. Again, these are just words trying to describe things to you so that you'll get intuitions about it. And also, with Neptune moon opposing that eighth house, there is an impulse for spiritual relationships or some kind of unusual, holy, spiritual, psychic rapport with people. Higher-minded love that overspills to the physical, perhaps. Now, the ninth house is Libra. So that's definitely a furtherance of higher-minded love and looking for fairness in social justice, liberty, freedom of the mind, equality of heart, and a brotherly, sisterly family nature when it comes to economics. And Libra is some kind of karma justice coming to our higher ups. Scorpio's on the midheaven. So when we think of the midheaven as the aim of life, Scorpio is a lot of people are very selfish about their aim. We could also say that they're perishing and dying and getting born again by following their calling. If we follow our higher calling, it's kind of like almost like a death and rebirth experience, but it gives us a lot of passion. And we look at the 11th house. Oh, well, I mean, Scorpio too is, are you the snake in the grass and a rattlesnake that whips around the beat from behind and bites people? Are you a scorpion grabbing, clawing, cutting down people? Are you an eagle? Are you a phoenix bird that dies in the fire of its desire and gets reborn, or an eagle, the golden eagle of the higher side of the Roman Empire, the eagle of the United States? This idea of having a higher view that transcends the animal appetite and desire and fear. And this is the aim of life, is to have this kind of Kundalini experience of a descent of spiritual fire, of universal love and truth, and the heart awakening with this passion and actual Kundalini experience of electrical magnetic rapport with our destiny and our calling and our participatoriness with the whole of life. So the 11th house is Sagittarius, which is Venus is there. So Sag and Aquarians are trying to find this higher love that has intelligence to it and is travel to higher-minded friendships. Venus is 52 degrees from the Jupiter Saturn, so love is becoming a fine art of universal, higher-minded awareness. And we can look at these for the, like say, the signs of the Zodiac, and we can say Aquariuses are just beginning again. And we could say that Pisces are concerned about money and being intuitive and psychic and magic and grounded, more security. And Aries are relearning or starting again to learn out of courage. They're trying to learn new things that will make sense of their life and world. They're having to start again and take the crown off and get a shovel and dig. Otherwise, they're suffering infighting and arguing or contesting. So with Mars in Aries, Aries have to find a higher cause to fight for rather than bickering, because the fighting can either heal them or make them sick, because Chiron is near there in Aries. And the Tauruses are concerned over home. Uranus is a new home or upper echelon or upper higher octave of home. Tauruses are looking for intelligence and higher octave intellect and electrical charge in the home, and they're looking to be the wild woman within contained boundary, or the wild man perhaps. And then we look at Gemini is looking for a mental intercourse with life and having polarity with other people who are co-equal. And Cancers are looking for new jobs and work, and or working from the home or homing in on what real work is. And Leos are looking for the right partners to work with, other people to be with, the right people to be with that make them better and shine. And Virgos are going through kind of a death and rebirth and need to discipline themselves and sacrifice the animal appetite on the altar of their heart for something more noble and that they can be passionate about. And Libras need a higher education and a higher ground, and they need more social justice and fairness with other people, and not get caught up in contesting and fighting in weird court battles or whatever. And then Scorpios are looking for their destiny, not just their job, some kind of higher calling that not selfishness but selflessness finds a larger sense of self. And Sagittarius are looking for new friends and a new way to love that has higher mindedness. And Capricorns are looking for a secret garden and a retreat and not feel imprisoned. So that's like a quick you could take your planets or your moon and ascending sign and think about what I just said. And we also want to notice that in this Jupiter Saturn chart, Neptune is the midpoint between Jupiter, Saturn, and Uranus, dark moon Lilith. And this can make people panic, or be escalating their relationship to nature and love through the ideals of Pan, that all things are animated and alive, animistic philosophy. Neptune, at that point too, especially with the moon in Pisces, midpointing the Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, dark moon Lilith, is like the death of art and music. And a new kind of art and music is arising, a new sense of culture where everyone must mother each other. At the very least, we mother each other's experience. We can have compassion for the struggle and striving of the soul, of each other. And we can wish and bless. We can wish for enlightenment and bless everyone. So this Neptune should be a larger concern over air, clean air and water, and mothering the little ones and protecting the environment and the trees and all peoples. Otherwise, it's kind of a meltdown. Neptune's a meltdown. And and strange psychic phenomena and weather phenomena. And we also have Uranus is squaring the Jupiter Saturn. And in the course of the year, Saturn and Uranus will square 3 times. And Jupiter and Uranus will square once. I think once. I'm not sure. I'll look again. But so when you have this happening, Uranus is squaring the Jupiter Saturn from the 4th house to the first. I think there's like a big shock of the social identity is shifting and traditions are shifting and people are rewriting history and we're losing our sense of cosmic memory and meaningful memory that brings us wisdom through experience and time. Other people are becoming geniuses figuring out what happened in history and their own biography. So there's all the planets have this kind of higher and lower octave where it's up to each one of us out of freedom and love and the will for truth, the wish for truth, to find the higher octave of these planets. So Uranus squaring the Jupiter Saturn is freedom from the social mores and structures and you know the authority of morality that we're looking for, as Aristotle through Plato would say, that we're looking for ethics for a better future rather than a morality that protects us from repeating mistakes of the past. We're looking for ethics, the Aquarian ideal of higher ethics, of ways to live that would create a better me and you and a better world. And we need to do that, or it's kind of an alarming, Uranus is like alarms go off that something's wrong and that things can't keep going like they are. And the things keep going like they are is the Saturn. So when we have like 3 Jupiter Saturns this year, major crazy aspect. Let me see. We have that. We have that take place in. I have a note here somewhere. Okay, Jupiter, Saturn. So we're going to come back to that. But right now we're talking about Neptune at the Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus midpoint, and this is this delusional, or is it supernatural genius? And the Saturn squares Uranus Saturn's in Aquarius and Uranus is in Taurus, which are fixed signs. Taurus can rule security and money, commodities, estates, land, and there's big changes taking place with who owns the land and how we take care of it. The three, and also, by the way, Taurus and Aquarius are fixed signs that want things to be stable. Uranus is looking for a new way to be stable. And Uranus is stronger than Saturn, so it's bringing about a destructuring and restructuring of many a life. But it adds the genius to it. Like a lot of people have been feeling like they're getting pushed through changes, but they may not have the genius of where it could lead to make us all better. So February 17th, June 14th, and December 24th of 2021, Saturn squares Uranus. And so some people are trying to hang on to Saturn and stay secure through the changes. Other people are Uranus and are trying to find freedom from where they're stuck. February 17th, when the moon conjuncts Uranus while it's squaring Saturn, I mean, there's some pretty strong earthquake aspects going on, even or big storms, you know. In December here with that Mars square Pluto, 23rd December, and as we go to January, with the Mars conjunct Uranus, and it might get kind of cold here, some pretty severe weather, or does it go to extreme where some places are severely warm? And that February 17th is another one of those crazy storm quakey times, and June 14th is a weird extremes in the weather too, either whether it's hot or it gets stormy, I don't know. And I just wanted to give you a flash of that. So the main thing we're working on now, though, and I'll give another talk on the year. And I usually, when I lecture, I ask people to donate, you know, $20. And so it's donations are welcome for these talks. You can send it to mflower@aol.com, PayPal, using the address mflower, M like in Mary Flower, @aol.com. And you can also, you know, mail us a gift to Mayflower Bookshop at 2645 West 12 Mile, Berkeley, Michigan 48072. It's all on my website, mayflowerbookshop.com. And this is Robert Thibodeau from Mayflower Bookshop. So we went through the 12 signs of the Zodiac, how they influenced us. If you want to send me $20, you'll have the whole lecture sent to you of all the aspects in the United States chart and all the aspects of the year that are critical. That would be a good to have. But this was a quickie, 40-minute or so talk on the 12 signs of the Zodiac, and that the Jupiter conjunction on the solstice represents what's going to happen this year to people. You know, and you can see how the Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto in Capricorn have really devastated Capricorns and Libras, Aries, and Cancer. And Libra, Aries, Cancer, Capricorn, that they death and rebirth and trying to find security and trying to find a social identity and you know, losing people in your life and gaining other people. And then you can see how now Aquarius is going to be in this search for more meaning and security and what will last and what they're stuck with and where it's fun and not fun. And Pisces and Virgo and Gemini and Sag are experiencing a psychic blast. Either they're stuck in the past in nostalgia, they're cheated out of the present because they're always wishing for a future that's not here, and thinking of a past too much. So if you have your sun, moon, ascending sign, major planets like Venus or midheaven or Mars, or your sun, right? So those people with Pisces, Virgo, Gemini, Sag, you got to really practice be here now, living in the power of the now, being present, thinking about how what's here is everywhere, but what's not here is nowhere. And you got to get here because the future and the past are stealing your present if you're any of those signs. And the Aquarius, Leo, Scorpio, Taurus are looking for new ways to socially integrate and have fun and be happy and identify with others, as well as what is real security and what is fake security that imprisons us. We don't really rule over our things, they rule over us. And so the Uranus in Taurus is also adding an amazing array of shock and awe and change, grow or decay, Taurus, Scorpio, Aquarius. Yeah, Uranus is saying that you have to go to the next higher level, or you have to progress, or you're going to be either you make the creative changes or you get put through them. And that's basically the next 6 years for 7 years, but probably 6 for Taurus, Scorpio, Aquarius, and Leo. Then there's the Gemini, Pisces, Virgo, Sag, with the North Node going through Gemini, is this urge for a shift in relationships, the way we relate to other people. The Mercury trine Mars, I want to make some mention of that, is that has something to do with Taurus and Capricorn and Virgo being better at communicating this year, better communications. Okay, so that's the chart for the 12 signs of the Zodiac and the planets and the timing. This Mars square Pluto that happens in December is like a real crisis all the way into Christmas. This whole week before Christmas, but especially the 21st and the 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th. This is like people are feeling like they got to re-psychologize themselves and others and have a lot of compassion and patience with other people, because Mars square Pluto is like taking everything personally, and all your old woundology, psychology, all your old wounds and hang-ups come up, and you don't feel good about yourself, and da-da-da-da. So it can be really kind of a rough week here, and there's a lot of crazy aspects happening with people around the White House, and so, this is like a time for a lot of wisdom and patience and not acting out of haste. And during this whole pandemic, is it going to start easing up after we get through these rough aspects here? Because a lot of good aspects start happening as we get into January, February, March, April. There's a lot of good aspects. So I think we're near the end astrologically, but we'll see. So bless your heart. I have a lot more to say, actually, about all that. I think we should pray and meditate that the world has peace this coming week, and that people can all be honest. Governments can be honest, top down and bottom up. O Mani Padme Hum, may the three wise men of our thinking, feeling, and willing, the three wise women, follow the highest star to the birth of the spiritual hero that each one of us could be. Bless your heart.